Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to your Monday dose of Newsround. It's another massive week. It's another massive set of games coming up. It's another massive result for the Reds, isn't it? Hopefully, we're all feeling quite well. I know it's Monday, but there is plenty to look forward to with the week ahead. I'm Dave Davis coming to you from a pretty cold and windy Edinburgh, which isn't as nice as the place I was last in Lanzarote, but we move with it, as they say. And now the dust has settled, people. How are we feeling about it all? I mean, when we look at this league table, and for people that are listening or do listen to this rather than see the video element, literally, it looks exactly the same, doesn't it? After all that, there is still a 7-point gap to Arsenal. Liverpool played 25, 60 points. Arsenal played 25, 53 points. So a 7-point gap is still maintained. Plenty to be positive about with that, isn't there? Let's be completely honest. And if we think back to this result yesterday, 2-1, bit nervy at times, wasn't it? Especially when Kuna, who, by the way, did you see that goal off the inside of the post? Absolutely sensational, wasn't it? No two ways about it. Liverpool didn't really create any chances. I think if I say didn't create any, didn't create any. I think, as the stats will say, in that second half, almost just stopped playing, relying on the likes of Endo, Kwanzaa, Bradley. The second string really were the cavalry yesterday for us, weren't they? But at this time of the season, it's just about results, isn't it? It's another game ticked off. There are 13 left to go, 1-3 games left to go. 7 of those are at home. Let's just think about that. We can control that. And we'll talk about Anfield a little bit. 7 at home, 30 left to go. There is plenty to be positive about. So I want to get into a few points around yesterday's game, around the reaction and what people have said. Because, I mean, there's a few like this. A title race is not for the weak-minded. A title race is not for the weak stomachs. It's a gut check time quite often. And this account here, I saw people retweeting this, quoting this as well. Arne Slot era. I hadn't heard of this. Personally, I don't follow it, as you can see. But just look at the tweets of this type of scenario. This one that says we won't win all 3 matches. You're stupid if you think otherwise. And there's a screenshot of the Villa City Newcastle game. That's ugly as fuck. We're going to bottle this. He wouldn't bottle a 9-point lead with a picture of Jurgen Klopp. I mean, do people seriously follow this or take this in? Like, we are 7 points clear. There's 13 games left to go. 7 of those games are at home at Anfield. Now, let's just think about this seriously. 7 wins would take us to, or 21 points, 81. Look at what Arsenal have to do to get to 81 points. That's 28 points. So the games are running out for them a little bit. I don't know why people are sort of, say, behaving or reacting to this type of thing. And a shout out to Trev here, because he put this yesterday on his Twitter. Arsenal's gone everywhere on the timeline. Yeah, I don't know what's quite going on with some Liverpool fans. And this is because everyone will react differently. But we're in a title race. There's going to be drop points by us. There's going to be drop points by Arsenal. I can guarantee you that. Both teams are going to drop points that people wouldn't expect them to. But we are in such a good place, as we said. The week kind of finishes now. The dust has settled with us still 7 points clear. And another game ticked off en route. That is what I am looking at personally. Now, other things to think about this week. And probably before we get into the off-the-field stuff, it is a huge week. I mean, Villa on Wednesday feels ginormous, doesn't it? that is a chance, and we'll have to see what happens, to go 10 points clear. Having played a game more, which is strange, isn't it? Actually putting the pressure back onto Arsenal to actually be ahead of them as in games played. That does just feel massive overall, doesn't it, realistically? So that is huge. I think that has a bearing on how we're set up for the week as well, because week, if we look at their next game, it's West Ham at home. Yeah, it is a massive week. There's no two ways about it, because after Aston Villa comes at the Etihad, doesn't it? So it is a huge week ahead. There's no other way of carving it up, is it, realistically? But we should be positive on a lot of things, because the form is pretty decent. And if you look at the last 5, and let's just look at Arsenal's last 5, because people are talking about them catching us. 1-4, drawn 1. A decent record, no two ways about it. If you look at the team that's above them and 7 points clear, oh, look, 1-4, drawn 1. And actually, especially some of those victories, 2-0 away at Brentford, 2-0 away at Bournemouth, the record recently is really good. And I know people are focusing on things like recent cup competitions and Plymouth. That doesn't matter. There's a lot to like in the coming week ahead. So there'll be twists and turns. I don't know what Villa Park's going to bring. It'll be interesting to see. But we know Gakpo is out. We pretty much had that update from Paul Joyce. We know that's coming in the week ahead. We are going to Villa Park without Cody Gakpo. We will have Curtis Jones back, and especially in the midfield, that feels quite big, doesn't it? Looked a little bit tired, didn't they, the midfield 3? I didn't think we get into that zone 14, as the up boys will call, at all in the second half. The legs just look slightly tired. And as we said, we relied big stuff on the second string. You've got to give a lot of praise to the Endos, the Bradleys, the Quantas of this world for nudging us over the line yesterday. So there is a lot of positives in that regard. So yeah, it's a huge week ahead, but now the dust is settled, we go again, as Stevie G said. Off the field, we'll have the normal things going on. Arne Slot will have his press conferences, so there will be one tomorrow morning ahead of Villa to look forward to, people. There will be the Friday morning one, as usual, ahead of that big City game, so you can expect quotes galore. We'll also see what's happening to Arne Slot off the field, because this came out late on Friday, didn't it? And it's got to be on a weekday for hearings. Now, for those who can't see it on the screen, as the FA statement says, Everton, Liverpool, Arne Slot and Sitka Hulshoff have been charged following the Premier League fixture between the two clubs on Wednesday, the 12th of February. The Liverpool manager allegedly acted in improper manner and or used insulting and or abusive words and or behaviour, both the match referee and both the match referee and the assistant referee after the match had finished. Now, the key date is Liverpool have until Wednesday, the 19th of February, to provide their respective responses. So it's this week coming, isn't we? We'll find out more. And it's interesting because Arne Slot has said this a few times now, hasn't he? That he probably wishes he'd reacted differently. He said it in his press conference. He said it before this game, and he was asked about it after the game, and he mentioned it again. So we'll have to see what judges bring. I mean, I don't know about you. I'm almost expecting that he's not there against City because the pressure will hype and thinking that. I suspect a 2-match ban, touchline ban, is coming his way. So we'll have to wait and see what that brings. But that is definitely one on the horizon for you this week. Carmino Pillar there saying hi. Hi to all who are watching, especially if YouTube. Feel free to throw in some comments, assertions, however you're feeling about the week and what you think is ahead as well. And contracts, it seems crazy. We are on the 17th of February and contract talk is still there, isn't it? It's still prevalent. And it's understandable because absolutely zero. None of them have got done. Now, maybe this is copium. Maybe this is a little bit of hopefulness, whatever it may be. There's a few bits around Mo Salah, and Ramy has come back, shall we say, this week and interacted with fan media. So Fabrizio Romano, that tweet's on the screen there, that one of the sporting media accounts, one of the fan channels actually tweeted about, the Arne Slot's record, at which point Ramy quote tweeted it and said he's excellent at his job, which is great to see because you think there is a good relationship, no doubt, between Salah and Arne Slot, but it's still a good relationship with Ramy and he holds him in high esteem. That can't be a bad thing, eh? But this was the key. This one, wasn't it? When a fan account tweeted and told Mo Salah has signed a 2-year deal with a further 1-year option to extend, news is imminent. If you clock this, I know we are next in. That post was liked by Ramy, Abbas, Isa. Maybe it's games, who knows? But a little Mo Salah contract announcement wouldn't be a bad thing or a sad thing by any means, wouldn't it? We will wait to see if there is any news on that because I can't believe we're actually heading not that far from March and there's still no real developments or news on contracts. Now, speaking of this at the same time, Ibou, he mentioned contracts this week, didn't he? I mean, there he is on his social media accounts. He's been so committed. He's been sensational this season. To the second half, he was working out, taken off at half-time against Wolves. Naturally, the concern that, as Arne Slot mentioned, around a red card, potential or a second yellow. The contract bit is brilliant, though. That we could, well, 4 people jump on me for this. It will be brilliant if we can get Ibou done as well. But he was asked about this directly and said, it has been offered this, and it is flattering to be linked with the likes of PSG. A few have tweeted about that. We know PSG would love to get Ibou in their ranks because a Parisian boy, what he would mean for them. We would love to get him renewed because we don't want to be like we are in this shambles of a situation where we're all into the last year. I mean, we're into the last 6 months and less now, aren't we? So, on his take for me, I don't think we get any news on the 4 or the big 3 and Ibou, if you want to call it that. But we shall see if this week anything comes up with these guys. Now, this one, ladies and gents, if you can see it on the screen, Arne Slot gave a round of applause at the end to Anfield. But did anyone see that kind of the arms raised as in a bit more? And you saw Robbo yesterday sort of gesticulating to the cop to calm down. I wasn't at the game yesterday because I was travelling back, but quite a few friends who went said the atmosphere wasn't good. Wasn't really, there was nervousness to it. The noise wasn't there. Anfield's needed this season, and I get people are nervous. We've almost got that PTSD from Manchester City and being in those title races, haven't we? And maybe last season, the Crystal Palace game, or whatever it may be, Anfield needs to be better. It genuinely does, these final 7 games of the season. There's 21 points to play for. We can roll them over the line. We can just create an absolute cacophony in that ground. And it has been done this season. We've seen it, the impact. People have talked about that atmosphere and no interest in the normal stuff of the rival fans of where's your famous, all those. Forget all that. There's a title to be won. If we stadium focus on our business, there's 21 points to play for. And by the way, the second to last game is about a game against our closest rivals right now for that title. So the impact we can have is absolutely massive. I just feel like Anfield is needed, and it maybe just needs to realise that a little bit about the impact it can have. So and this is not going into any, I'm not interested in any of that out of towners, Wolves, corporate, anything like that debate. It's so boring at the end of the season. It is just about what can Anfield do. Yeah, let's see what it brings. The next one at home, Newcastle, bit of a way to wait with the 2 aways, but Anfield can play its part. No two ways about it. Other things coming up this week, or to shout out for you, ladies and gents, absolutely loads. Raw was a great listen yesterday. If anyone wants to catch that, it was Guy, Trev, and Jim. It was good to hear some reaction. It was, as they put it, an uncomfortable 3 points, but it was a job done. There'll be normal content coming up as well. I know the Up Boys are doing their bit. I know Minefield should be out this week, that which I'm looking forward to as well. The normal couple of Raws after the Villa, after the City games should be out. David Lynch, Media Matters with me today at 1 o'clock. Also, I know I've got Bart's on transfer market metrics. There's 3 more pro players we'll be profiling for the summer. Really looking forward to doing that. So again, as normal, content galore coming up out the wazoo. There'll be Jack doing your live stuff. There'll be Gags post-match doing that. There'll be Housewives favourites, Gags and Grizz at some point next week. More content than you can shake a stick at. So coming up for you that way as well. Shout outs as well. Don't always do this, but I think it's important to. It is Monday. It's not always the happiest of days, but wishing a good week to the likes of Lisa Marie, Phil, Steve P, and Sammy I01, I think it is, through Discord, because I know they've got a lot going on this week. Remember, tough times don't last, tough people do. So a bit of a good feeling spread out, and a good feeling to you all, really, this week. Just remember, there are so many positives to focus on. The Reds are 7 points clear at the top of the league. Yeah? Big games. Villa away, City away. Arsenal have got some big games coming up. There will be points dropped by both teams when you don't expect it. That is going to happen. And Neil, saying there, they can't allow contracts to derail the charge. They really can't. Let's hope we hear something positive. That would be a nice one, wouldn't it? If at least one of those was done. Just give a bit of a boost, a fill up for all concerned. But there we are. On Monday, the 17th of February, that was another news round.